worst of them. And now you're about to hear the first of them. The first to ever do it down under. We're here to steal your thunder. Like the world's end down in Thunderdome. Welcome to our second home. All you need to know is Gig Day. This is Gig Day Gridiron. 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 We're not gonna let
G'day Aussie Gridiron fans and welcome to the G'day Gridiron podcast for 2025. Brought to you by the Aussie Gridiron Network, Australia's home of local and NFL gridiron content. How are you all doing? It is post 2025 draft. We've all got that post draft hangover. We're all sifting through the absolute nonsense that is out in the NFL ether about grading different teams' drafts immediately after they draft them, these players, without knowing who any of them are going to be. A seventh round pick could be the next greatest player in the entire world, whereas a first round pick could be out of the league within 2 years. But here we are. We're going to do a bit of a roundup on what draft was for us and our thoughts on the draft. Our own teams, we're going to have a look at our own teams quite selfishly. I actually titled that particular part of tonight's Selfish Podcasting, where we'll have a look at our own teams. And we'll just discuss some other things. So I've got all the boys in the house with me tonight. Let's start with Brad. He was around for our post-draft reaction show where we went live. How are you tonight, Brad?
Yeah, I'm doing well, man. I'm still basking in the glory of the draft.
Glory, Brad.
Well,
Don't bask too hard.
No. It's better than the glory hole. So,
Well, that's Jerry's favorite basking spot.
yeah, exactly. So,
we have a guy who hasn't joined us for a little bit. Isaac, how you going?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Pretty good. Atlanta's 2026 first round pick, mate.
Yep, very excited about that one.
What a dumb move. Anyway. And
By
of
Atlanta
course,
or LA?
I think we know which one. And of course, we have Australia's greatest O-lineman on podcasts ever. And that is, of course, Nick. How are you, mate?
Yeah, not too bad. Just trying to get.
I'm assuming there's no other O-lineman on podcasts, by the way.
Probably not. So that's
if
all
there
right.
were, he's still
fits.
the best.
It still fits the criteria.
It does.
I was gonna bring out my Deion Sanders top, but because both of his boys got picked up, but I had to go with George Kittle today because he just re-signed for us. So the late change.
Nice.
But yeah, looking forward to another good show.
I heard that you boys talking about that in the green room. George Kittle with a late signing for the 49ers.
Yeah, so I think 80, I haven't looked at it properly, but it was 4 years, I think 19 mil a year. I think 70 of it I think is guaranteed. I think
76 and
Really?
40 million guaranteed.
Ooh.
40 million guaranteed. Okay, all right.
Yeah,
Okay.
so
I mean, he's getting kind of long in the tooth, don't you think?
that's what I first thought. I was like, 4 years is pretty long considering, he's a tight end in his 30s now.
Yeah.
So,
But he was phenomenal last year. He was really good.
He was, which is why I think he got given that length in his contract. So I'm not complaining at all, really.
Yeah. Right.
And speaking of the one that's going to be more successful of the Sanders brothers, did you hear that Shiloh Sanders actually fired his dad as his agent?
Did he?
Yeah.
Well,
Because he wasn't doing a good enough job.
Post draft, he fired his dad as his agent, got a new agent, and then signed with the Bucks almost immediately.
Yeah. Well, no, it
Wow.
wasn't even. I don't think it was post draft. I think it was during the
It was
draft.
during the draft, yeah.
Yeah.
And he's quoted as saying on this is so good, on an interview already, and I wasn't even going to bring this up, but it's hilarious to me. Dad was our agent, Sanders said. but that hasn't been working out too good. So today I had to sign with an agent.
Are you serious? He said that.
I can't believe he was the agent. He's the coach of a top 25 school. He's agent for 2 NFL players now. He's this guy. That family, those boys have got just insane set of nuts. He's firing their dad and everything, and coming at him in pre-draft interviews, and God knows what they would have said, because apparently he lied that much because you said something that bad.
Yeah, so apparently he's that was he was basically referring. He was also inferring on that in that interview about the fact that it was Dion's fault that Shadeur slid as far as he did. So it was just Shiloh's just fucking swinging. He don't care.
Wow.
He's moving out now anyway.
He don't care. He's going to Tampa and he's never looking back. Apparently. Anyway, all right, boys. Let's go through some post-draft roundup. It's been the first round of the draft was a bit meh. It was a bit same until later in the draft where a couple of fun things started happening, like the Giants trading back in and Atlanta being dumb and sort of giving the Rams a first rounder for a number 26 pick, which they literally probably could have got with any other pick in the draft. But what I want to know some of your general feelings from the overall draft, and we haven't heard from Isaac in a couple of weeks. So general feelings, mate. Draft overall.
We were talking about it in the green room. It was pretty vanilla, to be honest. Like most picks went as position wise. You just didn't know the personnel, but position wise, most picks went as per what they were scheduled to go at. And you had the trade to start off, which got everyone excited, and then it pretty much simmered down there until the end of the first round, where the Falcons traded back in. The real story, as everyone knows, was Shadeur slipping out of the first round, and then he slipped on day 2, and that just became a media circus. Then after that,
yeah, Nick, you were on stream with Manjot for that entire first round. Mammoth effort. What was that, like 3.5 hours?
Keep going. Man, we jumped on there. I jumped on there about 9 o'clock. We ended up finishing about 1:30, so about 4.5 hours.
4.5 hours on a live YouTube stream with Manjot and a few others. Kev joined us for a long period of time. That was some hilarious podcasting for sure. Wasn't Isaac? I know Isaac was listening along. That was just hilarious listening to Kev's takes on everything.
Yeah, it was good, but he come through picking most of what was going on the next pick. So
trust me,
he knew his stuff.
When it came to putting together our mock draft scores, I just suspiciously ignored Kev's one that he posted in the crew. It's too good. It's too good.
So well done to Kev. Like, it really does his homework.
I haven't scored his, so I can't even say well done. So okay, we don't know. He definitely didn't win. No. So what do you reckon, Nick? How was the rest of it for you?
Like Isaac said, I mean, apart from everyone knew the top 3, there was no secret about it. Maybe the order was questionable between 2 and 3. Everything else was like pretty much positional need. I think there was, some trades that Atlanta made and the Giants made up for Jackson Dart. Where you go, not really sure why he did that. He could have got him at where you were in your next pick for both of those trades. So I think it was really hard. I mean, we'll talk about it a bit after about, winners and losers, but it was really hard to sort of decipher overall, like teams that did well and teams that didn't, because there was, I'd say about, at least 80% of the league sort of went at least to drafting all needs instead of, you might have, your first pick or your first 2 or 3 picks where it's, who's the best player? Take the best player. Whereas this was a draft, and it was said a lot of times throughout actually, the broadcast itself, where it's very much, what do you need? Who's available in this round? Take that guy. So a lot of teams pretty much did that. So it was sort of hard to try and pick it out. There were a few teams. There's always a few teams that you got no idea what they're doing. They're a bit brain dead. You're not sure. And there's always some teams where you go, okay, they've actually accumulated quite a good few players that you can see that would start, and we'll talk about those in a minute. So, but apart from that, pretty much, straight up and down. Not many surprises, but a few sort of weird moves.
Yeah, a couple of weird moves here and there. And I don't know. I feel like, for me, the way the draft was in terms of player value positions and the strength of some of those positions, especially both sides of the lines. I felt like a lot of teams just went full on for their actual needs, like plugging holes, and went for that rather than for the flashy picks that we usually see every year. And I think that's why it might be a bit more vanilla, because we're not really used to talking about offensive tackles or linebackers as much as we are talking about wide receivers and QBs and that sort of thing. So we're not used to talking about those guys that actually do the meat and potatoes part of the football. We're used to talking about the guys that are the stars that get all the big headlines, get the sacks, get the touchdowns, get the yards, all that kind of stuff. So I think that might be why it felt a bit more vanilla. But and certainly when you went through those later rounds, man, I was scrolling, and I know I was looking. I was paying a little bit of attention to who picked what, but not really names because you don't know a heap of them. But I was looking more at the positions that team was like picking. When I'm talking like rounds 4 through 7, I'm like, oh, they picked up another linebacker there, or that's an interesting one there, or there are some wide receivers going off the board in bunches, and it was sort of interesting to sort of see who picked what later on in the draft. Those guys usually, Brad, they're always the special teamers more than anything, aren't they? Though.
Yeah, absolutely. It was. I think we've all said it. If the theme of it was vanilla, I think also what takes into account is just the draft industry itself is so huge. It's so much bigger. The NFL has truly done a magnificent job of making it an event. So it's pretty phenomenal. The NBA, their draft used to be a big deal. It's kind of died off, and the NFL is by far and away the king of all the drafts for the sports. And I wouldn't be surprised if they make it even more of a production going forward in the future. It's pretty wild when you think about it.
Well, Roger Goodell came riding in on a bicycle on the first pick, so I think maybe that's what Adam Silver needs to do in July. So we'll see what he does.
Now that guy he would come dressed as a vampire or something. That guy is translucent.
Count Dracula.
The first vision I had then, Nick, was him on the Saw bicycle, the real little one, because he's so tall, and he's got the clown face on, and he rides in.
The sponsorship and everything.
Yeah, that would be epic. That would be epic.
That would be amazing. Let's talk a little bit about that top end of the draft. Brad and I recapped a little bit. I'd love to hear some of the other boys' feelings. The Jacksonville trade into 2. I think it was that made it flashy first up. Straight away, you've got to trade into number 2 first up in draft. Everyone knew Cam Ward was going number 1. Cam Ward goes, and straight away we hear there's been a trade. Like, it didn't take him long to do it. Yeah. So it came in. It sort of, when you heard that Jacksonville traded in, I think, number 1, did everyone just believe straight up they're taking Travis Hunter? And number
absolutely.
2, were you surprised that Jacksonville jumped that high, that they went for that pick?
No, for me, I wasn't that surprised. Just in the sense of, you've got a first-year GM. He's the youngest in the league. He's trying to make a splash. You've come across we talked about this on our podcast, and it's been mentioned a lot, but you get in a 2-for-1 player, offense and defense. A truly generational talent, a talent like you've never seen before. So that a lot of people say was the best player in the draft. So I thought it was a great move personally, because you've got a limited window. You got to give Trevor Lawrence. This is kind of boomer bust for Trevor, I feel like. So otherwise, if this doesn't pan out, I feel like they're just going to have to rebuild again. But so I liked it, and I thought it was a good move.
I don't mind it for both teams, really. I think the Jacksonville probably saw Travis Hunter and thought he's a generational talent. We can go up there and get him. And the Browns thought if they weren't too impressed with him in the interviews and their workouts, they could say, well, we don't jump back too far, and we still get a really good player on defense. Yeah. And I mean, take it. I mean, I think they get Jacksonville's pick next year in this trade.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there's an option. There's an option there that's probably maybe high teens, maybe low teens. So they're still getting another decent player next year as well.
Yeah, I'm a bit cautious for Jacksonville because it's really when you give up this much, you need a lot back in return. This is a lot of pressure for a guy that's a rookie. It feels like he's got the pressure of almost like what a quarterback should have taken this high. Like considering he's planning on playing both ways, it would be very hard for a guy coming in as a rookie, and he's probably now going to be expected to be playing both ways, not just wanting to, but expected to, as the first choice receiver and probably their first choice corner. Now that's very hard to be at both meetings at the same time for both of those.
I don't think first choice receiver. Surely
No, I don't
Brian
think first
Thomas.
choice. Yeah.
Brian
You don't
Thomas.
give up. You
I
don't
don't-
give up 2 firsts.
No,
and
I
a
don't think
second,
you. I don't think
and
he'd
a
be.
fourth.
I think
I
he'll
don't
be
think
wide
he'd be-
receiver 2. I don't
don't
think
think
he'll be wide receiver 1.
Yeah, he'll be CB. I think he'll be first choice on defense, and then he'll have the benefit of Brian Thomas being able to be there, so he can take that pressure off. So they're going to use him for the flash plays or that number 2 receiver.
Yeah,
yeah.
100%. Brian Thomas should be the first choice receiver, but
But they've got
he
options
has
now
to be-
too, though,
he-
Nick. That's the biggest part on it. They've got options.
And he
And
has
I'd
to be a very good number 2, like almost you'd have to say, or most teams is a number 1. Because like I said, 2 first, a second, and a fourth. That is a lot on a guy that has not played any minutes in the NFL.
Yeah,
A
absolutely.
lot. And for a player that's not a quarterback or an edge rusher, or you can even say an offensive lineman.
But the upside is league changing, which is amazing. Like it's a huge upside. There's a big title to it. But you're right. There's a big floor as well. I think there's a big disparity between ceiling and floor.
Yeah, there's a
yeah.
lot of pressure.
You can.
I like it for Cleveland.
I think with that pressure you're talking about too, Nick, there's been in the past a lot of pressure on Trevor Lawrence to perform. He come in as a generational talent. So now if the pressure shifts to Travis Hunter on defense and on offense, it takes the pressure off him to get the ball there. I think you might see a better Trevor Lawrence this year.
I hope so.
There's definitely more pressure on Trevor Lawrence. I tell you what, though, there is a lot of pressure on Travis Hunter as well. Did any of you see the James Gladstone press conference? Have you seen snippets of it? Brad, I know won't, and he will love what I've put together.
No, I haven't.
I haven't.
No,
I've
Okay.
seen snippets. I haven't seen much of it. Let's
right.
go.
If I can get this thing to work for me.
I think you talk about Hunter and the pressure. I think just that he was the number 1 recruit coming out of high school, so he knows pressure. Granted, the NFL is a little different, but I think the pressure he'll be okay with that.
Yep.
Yeah, he might be. We'll just I'll just flick over to sharing some screen here, and then I've put together something, Brad, along with not just his press conference.
Oh,
James
he's not wearing the
Gladstone.
pink jacket.
No, I know. And look at what they're wearing. Come on, we're announcing like the guy that's going to like change the league. What are we all wearing? Anyway,
I'm just
James-
praying for one thing at the end of this press conference.
That's normal.
James
clothing.
Gladstone may be out of a movie. Okay, let's just keep that in mind as this doesn't play.
Travis Hunter is a Jacksonville Jaguar, and really what comes to mind for me, right? Thinking about the sport of football and really the power of the game itself, right? Its capacity to ignite belief, right? Belief in ourselves, belief in others, right?
I
Deem impossible. Travis Hunter, he embodies belief, right? He's a rare person. He's a rare player, but he's also a reminder that the boundaries of the game of football were built to be challenged. And so the decision to select him was actually a statement for how we plan to move, who we are, and we want him to be nothing more than him. Because when he is, he elevates the space around him.
Come on.
From the football field to the city to the game of football itself, Travis Hunter is who we've been hunting up. Couldn't be more jacked to be sitting right here beside him and introduce you all to the man of the hour.
What the fuck is this guy saying?
Praise
What-
Jesus. Hallelujah. Preach.
What the fuck is he on about?
That was.
I must admit, as soon as I heard it, and I'm not the only one in the world that's done it either, so don't come at me that someone else has done this. As soon as I heard it, I went, this deserves the soundtrack.
Absolutely, it does. Absolutely. That guy used ChatGPT to fine tune that.
I don't think, but Brad, by the look at his eyes, he did not use ChatGPT.
He didn't use it. No. He just went on a path and he just got lost in space.
Yeah, I think he started that. I think he started that monologue and realised where he was going, and that's when his eyes widened and he went. He went for it.
We hunted the hunter. And
Yeah.
It was so good. I mean,
Yeah,
it deserved a soundtrack, and that's all I can
That's-
say.
That was cool.
Is that better than Liam Cohen though with the Duval?
I think it absolutely
I
is.
think
Yeah.
it is.
Like along with
crazy.
Matty C's personality, they got some special characters down there in Jacksonville.
Get Matty C down there.
Yeah.
Right, let's move on. Let's talk about those flashiest players. Let's talk about the big names. Let's talk about the QBs. And, of course, the Shadeur Slide. That's going to be in amongst all this. There's a lot of QBs taken in this draft. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 all up. I didn't count them beforehand, so I just did that. 14 QBs all up in this draft. Okay. We all knew Cam Ward, 101. Instant 101. Jackson Dart being the second QB off the board was a massive surprise. And I know, Nick, you mentioned a bit of a reach for the Giants. I think that they just wanted to make sure no one else... And we talked about this when we were doing Draft-A-Palooza, that I threw out the possibility that a team could trade up back into the bottom end of the first round and try and take someone ahead of the Browns or whoever else was around that top end of the second. And I think that's what the Giants were trying to ensure. They were like, we really like this guy and we're going after it. I like the fact that they've suddenly got the balls. And where were these balls for the last 2 years, by the way? They've suddenly got the balls to go out there and say, we're just going to go all in. We're going to go make a statement. And we believe in these guys and we think that they can be special, so we're going to go for it. You know, and the whole thing, the rest of it can come later. I don't know if it's just a change in what, but I like that. Of course, everyone thought that Shadeur was going to go there, but I've got some thoughts. I've got you boys. Any thoughts on these guys going that were sort of going up ahead? Cam Ward, Jackson Dart, Tyler Show,
Shutton or something.
Schoff.
I think they
That's-
pronounce it Schoff.
That's not even a pronunciation I would have thought would have happened there.
Yeah.
Schoff, Jalen Milroe, Dylan Gabriel, obviously, and then Shadeur Sanders. Any thoughts down to that point, Isaac?
The Jackson Dart one is going to be one to watch because in my personal opinion, I think Joe Shane and Brian Day will have 1 year to win. I don't think he's going to play. So they've selected this quarterback to play in 2 years' time when they may not be there. That's my only worry with this trade, that if there is a new regime in the next year, then he might not play and it's a waste of a first-round pick. I think he's good enough, and I think the Giants jumped in because my Rams might have taken him to then have the 2 years behind Stafford. But, I think it's a risky one due to the fact that I think they've got 1 year to win or the owner's going to make a change.
Yeah, I would have thought if they were trading up to 25, I'm just going along with your thinking, Isaac. If they're going to go up for a quarterback at 25, that is most ready. Obviously, you can't include Cam Ward because he was the first pick. But out of the rest of those guys, I'd be taking Milroe. And I know it's a bit tricky, Alabama quarterbacks, do they live up to what they are in college? And I know he wasn't as good this year, but he is probably the most NFL ready apart from Cam Ward, I would say, compared to the rest of that list, because he's a guy that he's very dynamic, very good running quarterback, is very good with the deep. He's really like a watered down version of a former Bama quarterback in Jalen Hurts. So, he's probably the most ready quarterback, and I feel probably in that spot, if you trade up and get Milroy, okay, we're going to avoid, the Rams taking him as a backup, or, if that was the Rams' number one choice outside of Ward, so be it. But I feel like if they're wanting to go for someone that's going to step in right away, it should have been Jalen Milroy.
Yeah. I like the Milrow pick for the Seahawks. That's the one that stood out to me, just for all the reasons you just explained, and did a great job talking about that. I just think he is the most pro-ready. I think that the Seahawks are going to more of a run-heavy offense, and third round is not a bad place. My only concern, though, is they just signed Darnold, so how's it going to work out? Are they going to use him as a package situation type thing and just kind of use him that way? That would be my concern. And hopefully for this year, he can just kind of sit, absorb, learn, do all that kind of stuff, and then we'll see. A lot of it depends on how well Darnold plays. Because if Darnold plays lights out, great, then they'll just keep him as a backup for at least a couple of years. But it'll be interesting to see. But I like the Milrow pick. I like the Dart pick, but I think Dart's going to be take a little bit more time to develop.
I was just going to say that about the Milrow pick there. I think it's a little bit of insurance if Donald isn't fitting into the system and does end up being like he was at the Jets and at Carolina, then they've got a ready-made quarterback to step right in and hopefully fit their system.
I like the Milrow pick for the Seahawks because they're different. And I've heard a lot about this. Obviously, there's so much talk about the Shadeur stuff, and a lot of it applies to all of these quarterbacks as we go through here. And it sort of when I explain it, the Milrow thing I really like because they're different. Sam Darnold and Jalen Milrow are different styles of quarterback, and it really makes sense that when you've got a backup QB, when you bring in a backup QB, that they're not identical to the guy that is your number one, the guy that is supposed to be leading your franchise. Because obviously, if they're identical to that guy, what they are is just a second-rate version of that guy. So what's the point? Whereas if you have someone that's different, especially someone like Milrow that has can do a bit of action with the legs, and you can put in, say you get hurt halfway through a game, you've got some select packages that you can run in there. He can do something with his legs. He can make some off-platform stuff, all that stuff, right? And that's what you want from a backup quarterback, and someone that you can use slightly differently, because the best version of himself as a passer, for instance, may not be the passer that your QB1 is. So what's the point in trying to force that connection? And a lot of this also, the big thing I heard with the Shadeur slide, and a way to rationalise it, and it really did rationalise it for me, and it made a lot more sense, and it's strange that a lot more people can't figure this out, is that once you get to the back end of the second round, teams aren't looking for their starting quarterback. They're looking for backup quarterbacks.
Yep.
And what do you want? Brad will know best out of this. What do you want as a backup quarterback in the NFL? You want someone that's going to be a proper student of the game, someone that is going to carry the clipboard and help, someone who's going to listen and do exactly what they're told when they're told to do it. None of those things, and I think everyone in the world can agree, is Shadeur Sanders. None. He's not going to be that guy that sits in the background and doesn't speak, and doesn't come forward and stuff. He's got a dad who's already said that he's going to sit in his first meeting and correct the wrongs that were made. Shut the fuck up, Dion. It's not the way. And I think this is why the Browns specifically picked Gabriel before Shadeur, because when you look at the Browns, who they drafted through all their draft, they were hitting their needs before they hit QB. So they're obviously comfortable with what they got. They've also got to deal with the fact that they made a huge mistake at QB a couple of years ago, and what is the number, like $64 million a year or something stupid? They're still paying him for the next 2 years. So they've got to deal with that, and then they've got Pickett and Flacco there now. The Gabriel pick seems to be like, that's your backup QB for this year, maybe next year. That's a third string QB. That's a guy that's going to just do exactly as you tell him to do. But before that, I mean, they went a DT, they went a linebacker, they went a running back, they went a tight end, they went the backup QB, then they went another running back, but all before they took Shadeur Sanders in the 5th round. And I think the only reason they ended up taking him in the 5th round is because they were happy to sit and let someone else take him if they were going to take him, but they got to 144 and went, well, he's still there, and we've filled all the other needs that we're really desperate on, so let's just go on him now, and then we'll figure out down the track what we're going to do between him and Gabriel.
There's some speculation. I don't know if you guys have seen the video or not, and it's just speculation, but that the pick came from an edict from the owner, that coach and GM didn't want to do the pick. And if you look at their body language,
the body language of the video, yeah.
They're not like pumped. Oh yay, we're getting Shadeur. So that would not surprise me.
I think that may have been where it is too, Brad. And especially with the Dion going in saying that he's going to correct wrongs. It seems to me like there might have been maybe a phone call between Dion and an owner going, "What's going on?" And like everyone wants to shout about collusion in the NFL. If that sort of thing might have happened, that's collusion.
There definitely was collusion. There was a message sent, and it was know your place essentially.
They carried on like 32 teams were going to pick him. No, they weren't. Not every single team was going into that draft wanting a quarterback.
Yeah, and again, you're seeing, but this is so emblematic of the Browns. What did the Browns do with the Watson? Everybody, the 31 other teams absolutely hated that Watson deal because of all the guaranteed money that they gave him and everything and the precedent that it sent. And you feel like it's the same thing all over again. It's just the Browns ignoring anybody else. They're just doing this, kind of fly by the seat of their pants type thing. And it feels like they're just doubling down on that quarterback room. And I never wish ill will upon anybody, but I really am not a fan of Sanders or anything that he's about. So I'm not rooting for him.
Can I just go on a little bit of a rant about that?
I think I just did, so why not?
Well, there's 2 points I've got here, right? So I think there was collusion between the owners to sit there and say, know your place in this league.
Yeah.
You can't come in and make the rules, right? And I think with all the bad publicity...
I think that they're absolutely saying, we don't want another Eli Manning thing. No one does this ever again. Like, that's what they were saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So... And I think with the bad publicity that whole thing was getting over nights 1 and 2, the NFL have come in and said someone needs to take him.
Oh, okay.
One of the teams needs to take him. Otherwise, this is going to get out of hand here. That's why you've seen the video of no one really happy about taking Shadeur at 144 at the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
My next point is the prank phone call that was made to him from a coach's son that's now come out, and Jeff Ulbricht's son was the one that made the call. Like, I get you don't like him. I get he's arrogant and doing all that, but that's someone's livelihood. Imagine if you were waiting on a job phone call and someone prank phone calls you and says, look, you've got the job. You'd be bloody heartbroken. I know he puts himself out there and all that stuff, but like sometimes you've got to think about these people are still human as much as they don't like to think they are sometimes, and we don't like to think they are. I just think that was a really poor effort, and I think the NFL needs to come down hard on what happened.
Well, there's been some other players that have also come out and said they got prank phone calls as well.
Yeah.
Kyle McCord, who got drafted by the Eagles in the 6th round, said he got 5 phone calls from the same number.
Yeah.
All prank phone calls.
You wonder. Yeah. It's just, that's disheartening. That's just exactly. You're taking what it should be these guys the best day of their lives, and for what? So you can get some shits and giggles.
Get some social media following. It's just like far out, mate. Like
that's petty.
Someone's livelihood.
That's everything that's wrong with social media, in my opinion.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. Hey, there's of those other 14 names. I put them in the doc for you boys to have a look through them. Will Howard surprised me going that low. We talk about Shadeur going in the fifth round. Will Howard's in the sixth round. 185 is sixth round. Yeah, I can't count too well.
Yeah.
The one that I really like out of all of it, though, in terms of player going to spot, Quinn Ewers to the Dolphins. The Texas quarterback was an absolute superstar. I don't know what people have, and he had some issues with some injuries and stuff, but I kind of like that to the Dolphins as in terms of a backup for just the way he plays. It's all speed, it's all flash, and it just seems like a super Dolphins pick to like back up Tua.
Yeah, I think looking at your list there, out of would you say 15 quarterbacks?
Yeah, 14 of them, yeah.
14? I think only 3 of them may even see the field this year.
Oh, for sure.
So you've got Cam Ward,
Quinn
maybe
Ewers
Tyler
will.
Shook. Well, they've got Zach Wilson there as well, so you got.
Oh, they do too. Oh, what a QB room! What a QB room! Because Quinn Ewers. I saw some stuff on Quinn Ewers pre-draft, and he was a bit of a dude as well. So it's like it's more of a Dolphins pick. His post-draft comp was Brock Purdy, which I found hilarious because I've just been I've been ribbing Mark about it, telling him that the Dolphins selected Brock Purdy. So.
And the only other one on that list would be Will Howard, going to a good situation where there's possibly time at the Steelers.
Yeah, Will Howard to the Steelers I think it's a pretty good pickup from the Steelers. Just
National
for the future.
champion.
Like he might not necessarily see the field this year. May even see the field this year. We still don't know what's happened to the Steelers. But like I think subsequent years, like he's going to see the field there at some point. Anyway, it's the QBs. Well, let's go into some of that selfish podcasting I mentioned before. How did our teams do? We've all got 4 teams, all within the NFL, or within the NFC, actually. Our thoughts on our own teams' drafts. So we'll start with Nick and the 49ers. Thoughts on, you actually absolutely banged the edge rusher first round out of the park. Talk about typecasting for the 49ers. What's your feelings on the overall draft for the 49ers?
If I had to give it a grade, I would say it's probably a solid B to B plus. There was a clear message coming into it, which was, we need to stop the run, and it was definitely a big issue last year because we lost. I could probably think of almost a handful of games where we got absolutely dominated with that, which we haven't in previous years. So our first 5 picks, all defense, only 1 corner. The rest are in our front 7. Michael Williams, I think, is a bit of a project. He's only 20, so he's got a lot to go. He's also a great run defender, just like our next pick, Alfred Collins. I like Nick Martin as well. He's got a little bit of shades of Greenlaw, where he's really an insane tackler. One of the things I really did love about Dre Greenlaw is his insane ability. He just doesn't miss tackles at all. Like in different positions, from different angles, he shoots the gap and gets to it. I think Nick Martin hopefully can become that sort of player. Later on in the draft, I don't mind the Jordan James pick. For what that round is, I think it was a 5th or 6th round pick. He's pretty much going to be a Shanahan type where, when we drafted Elijah Mitchell in the 6th round, it was a bit of, he doesn't have anything special, but he's just solid at a lot of things, which is what I see from Jordan James. The only thing is why it's not an A, we didn't address O-line. We got Colby as a 6th round pick. We didn't really address O-line. So another year goes by, and I've been saying it for years, Kyle Shanahan does not like offensive line. He just doesn't. And he's going to pay for it this year when Purdy's coming up for, that contract. And, he's getting beat around. He's having to run around. So, but at least defensively will be...
Get a contract. They'll give him a massive contract, and then he'll get smashed by the lack of O-line at some point, and then end up with an injury.
Yeah,
like it'd be
particularly when Williams goes.
Yeah.
What is it, Nick? Do you think it's just he believes in the scheme so much that he thinks he can plug in the lineman?
He believes in himself so much, Brad.
Well, zone running schemes, as you would know, Brad, is not so much reliant upon, having massive dudes who can power guys. It's more so getting into the right gaps, making sure you can seal them off. So you look at it, it's sort of a trend. Like you look at Minnesota with Kevin O'Connell and even the Rams with Sean McVay. They don't necessarily take the biggest and best linemen because they know that they need sort of guys that fit to their scheme. The zone running scheme is more so about getting to the spot before the defender. Get to the spot, makes it easy for the running back to be able to pick their lane, right? That's how they operate. So I don't understand as to why. Like, I'm not saying that we would have taken someone in the first round. It would have been nice. Like, I probably would have traded back to taking a tackle if we were taking someone in the first round. There wasn't any really standouts, but just only because we picked up one sort of player and we haven't really got a succession plan for when Williams does retire. I mean, we didn't have one when Staley did retire after the Super Bowl from about 5 or 6 years ago, but then we had Trent Williams fall into our lap for like a 5th rounder and a 3rd rounder, which was unheard of only because he was coming off an ACL. So I don't know why they haven't sort of addressed it. They had tried it a couple years ago with Banks and I think Brendel. Brendel's no good as a centre. Banks is now in Green Bay, so really we're back to sort of square one.
Yeah. Just to your point, I just want to reiterate, you said it, but I love that Jordan James pick. I watched him a lot run at Oregon, and for a 5th round pick, and like you said, he's not going to be busting off 70 yarders or anything like that, but the dude he'll just get you yards, and to me, that's for value. I thought that was one of the best picks in the draft.
Brad, we're going to go to your Cowboys. Tyler Booker picked up in the 1st round. You weren't incredibly excited about it in our sort of post draft sort of the reaction. You weren't hugely excited about it because you really wanted a running back. I've got something that might make you a bit more excited for it, Brad. Do you want to?
Absolutely.
Let's see how we go this time around. This is Tyler Booker on the BR Gridiron
I love this
podcast.
Watch this today.
This is Micah Parsons down here too, Brad. I really think Brad's going to like this, Nick, don't you?
I was gonna say before we watch the video, Brad, when I saw this made me excited. I got excited, and this was for a Cowboys player. That's how much I love
You
this.
had one of my favorite quotes of the entire draft process. You said, "quote I make guys not love football anymore." What does it feel like to see the love of football leave someone's eyes?
It feels great, like football is a child's game. So like people wake up, be like, man, I can't wait to play this football game today. They listen to their hype music, they take all the pre-workout, they get so excited to play football until they come across Tyler Booker. And then when I'm going after you, quarter after quarter, play after play, series after series, and I start to see that love leave their eyes, like that's what makes me love the game. Like I just really love.
Like that.
I love that.
Oh man!
I will play right now.
I
love
that. I love that.
I thought you
Man,
might
if
like
we had
that, Brad.
if we had picked him up, I would have had his jersey on the way to my place at the moment.
I think
Just after that video.
I thought Brad, that might make Brad a little smile a little bit more about the Cowboys today.
Absolutely.
In relation to that video, did you see Michael Parsons' face when he got chosen? He was dumbfounded by it. So, to come out
he couldn't understand
and
it.
react
Then-
the way he did, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and you're right, Ian. I wasn't exactly over the moon thrilled about it, but in the sense of it was a safe pick, and yes, obviously, I would love for Genty to fall to the Cowboys. I don't think there was any way that was going to happen, but it fills an immediate need. That they've spent a lot of draft picks on that O line, so I'm hoping that he's going to pan out. But I really, in hindsight, I've gotten more excited about it, not just because of that video. But I loved the Cowboys' first 3 rounds in the sense of I thought they got really good value. Their edge rusher, Donovan Iziraku.
Iziraku. Get used to it, Brad.
Yeah, exactly. Something
Well, I
like
reckon
that.
him and Parsons together are going to be a beast.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I've seen him.
Like, hurry up and sign Parsons, Jerry.
Yeah.
Get it done. Get it done.
Yeah.
I seen him mocked in the first round in some mocks before
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
draft. So
Absolutely.
yeah,
So
great
to be-
pickup.
Yep, exactly. So to be able to get him at 44 is phenomenal. And then the cornerback Ravel, he was projected to be a first rounder as well, but he hurt his knee, and so he missed the majority of the season. So to get 3 quote unquote first round talents in the first 3 picks, to me that's a huge win. So I was excited about that. Obviously, they've still got some holes. They picked a running back, Blue, who's just a little scatterbug and just super fast. So he's kind of like Pollard, but he can catch a little bit better. So if he can, be 80% of what Pollard was, that would be a really, really good thing. So, and then the others, they just drafted for need, really. You saw them. They kind of they drafted another running back, which later in the draft, which I like out of Clemson. So overall, again, if we're gonna go with letter grades, I'm like Nick. I'd probably give it a B plus. Just it's hard to give it an A when there's nobody splashy per se. But in terms of it being a solid draft, it was solid. So I would take it. And the Cowboys do historically they do draft well. So I think this is another case of it. And Jerry, at least when it comes to the draft, Jerry by and large kind of stays out of it, which is I think the reason for their success. So yeah, I'll take it.
Kev was very high on that running back, that Blue. When you drafted him, he was like, yeah, he's going to be a good player. So
Cool. Okay. Yeah.
Vikings draft, I think for what we had going in, we had 4 picks going in. I think we did reasonably well. I was surprised we didn't trade out a first round, but I'm really not disappointed with picking up a top guard. I think we all talked about the fact that we were a little bit surprised that it wasn't the tackle, but it's the guard instead, which is fine. He's going to line up along Ryan Kelly and Will Fries anyway, and it's going to sort of really solidify the whole front unit for Minnesota, which is amazing. We moved down in round 3. We had nothing in the second round. We moved down in the third round, down to 102 when we traded with the Texans. So we sort of moved down to 102 and picked up another one for like 40 places later, 142. So, we ended up with, all in all, we ended up with 5. Quasey did a bit of moving around. I'm not overly disappointed, but I'm not overly excited. Ty Felton could be a good wide receiver 3. But I think he's going to be more of a return guy at the moment. Getting another edge rusher in terms of depth is pretty good in Ingram Dawkins. He's not too bad. And then just, I'm so about the rest of it. Bartholomew is not an amazing tight end, but he's pretty handy, especially in the blocking stakes. And that's probably one area we did have a bit of a need in terms of tight end play, especially if you want to play 12 personnel as well. So, just take that bit of pressure off, but not overly. I'm not excited about it, but it's 5 picks. What are you going to do with 5 picks? You can't do a lot. And we were one of those franchises that had some of the least picks in the draft, and you can do what you can do, especially when you've got huge holes. Like when you're not in the whole second round, it's not going to be a flashy draft, that's for sure. So, Isaac, the Rams.
So I think the big win of the day was that trade with the Falcons and getting their pick next year. I think that was the big win of day one for us. We were talking in the green room before, that pick could be anything depending on how Penix plays. If he plays terribly, we only got a sample size last year, so you can't really go off that. But if he's not playing that well, it's going to be a high draft pick there. The tight end, I was a bit confused by that because when Higbee come back last year, he was playing quite well. So taking a tight end, we always shore up our defense. Another running back won't hurt. Kyron Williams is coming off contract, I think, next year. So there's some help there. But all in all, I'm happy with the draft, especially that pick for next year.
Yeah, you'd never be unhappy we get another first rounder next year.
And also on that too, there was a press conference with Les Snead and Sean McVay, and they said, "Oh, you got 2 first-round picks next year," and McVay jumps in and says, "For now, we do. For now." So there might be something in the works later on, but it's quite a good draft coming next year to have 2 first-round picks.
It certainly is, yeah. I think Ferguson was still a pretty good pickup for tight end as well. I think I like that, and yeah, as you mentioned, like replacing the players that you've lost, and you're replacing them with youth, and that's never a bad thing.
And we generally we went a wide receiver late, running back. We generally draft pretty good in those positions, so pretty happy.
Yeah, I think we can all expect Mumfield to lead the league in yards after the catch. So he'll basically he'll smash the league. That's pretty much what happens with McVay and wide receivers these days. Yeah. He'll be an amazing fantasy pickup, late round fantasy pickup that no one's going to expect. All right, winners and losers from the whole draft process, boys. It doesn't have to be specifically from the draft. It's just the franchise, the fans, whatever you want. Winners and losers. Brad, have you got to just give us one, a winner or a loser? What have you got?
Are you talking about like a team or
whatever team, person,
Oh, okay.
a team, player, franchise? What's a winner or a loser?
Well, as much as I hated it, I thought New England was a winner, or I shouldn't say New England. Drake May. Drake May was a winner because they just put so much into that offense. I think they knew how bad they were, but I think they really tried to address that offense, and so you're going to see the benefit of that with May. I think the winner is, I'm being a little esoteric here, but the winner is the fans of Cleveland who get to watch the drama of that QB room. So that just, if you like drama, then
I think you could also say that they're losers, Brad.
Yes, you could. Yes, absolutely, you could. So, well, but that kind of is indicative of the city as a whole. So.
Nick, winner or loser?
Well, Brad gave us a winner. I'll go with a loser.
You can pick either. You don't have to pick specifically, but either one.
I'll go with a loser. I'll go with a loser because I've got other information about winners later on, but that's okay. Loser, Pittsburgh. They have nothing on offense, and they drafted not one,
nobody,
but 2 offensive players. So Will Howard, by default, will be their starter. Had a solid last season, not bad for a 6th round pick. You get a bit of value there.
Don't they still believe that? Doesn't Tomlin still believe that he's in the Rodgers stakes?
Yeah,
isn't it?
They'll get Rodgers.
They probably end up
They'll overpay for it. That's what's going to happen now. Is they will overpay for Rodgers because they'll have no other option.
So let's play the hypothetical. So if they get Aaron Rodgers, okay, Will Howard still probably ends up as their starter anyway. So the main
Mason
thing
Rudolph.
here is
they've got Mason Rudolph back. What are you talking about, Will Howard? They got Mason Rudolph, mate.
Mason Rudolph back.
He is the epitome of Steeler these days.
They got him back from Tennessee. So what else did they do? Well, they had Derek Harmon, who we all thought was going to be Sanders, that pick. So he's the replacement for Cam Howard. You've got Johnson, may end up being their running back number 1. Now he did average, I saw this stat, astounding, almost 4.5 yards after contact per attempt, which is quite good. So they get another power back to replace Najee Harris. So hopefully it's an upgrade from that. Apart from that, not a lot to be excited about. And they didn't really draft a lot of need. So yeah, it's really you go into it and you think for Pittsburgh, you know, unless we're going to keep teams to a field goal each game, how are we going to win anything?
Isaac,
Okay, so I've got two winners for me.
go the winners, mate. Yeah, let's go the winner.
So I really liked the Bears draft. I thought they did really well. They're loading Caleb up with weapons. As well, my other winner is the Panthers, getting McMillan at 8. They are loading up that offense. They signed Hunter Renfrow today as well. So they're just giving him more and more options there. So I think they've done really well this offseason, and I am high on the Panthers.
High on the Panthers.
High on
Yep.
the Panthers.
Division winners, let me
How
say it right
high
now.
are we talking about? Oh, man, we do our under-overs show. This is going to be amazing. I'm going to hold you to that.
Yes, please do. That's how... I'll give you
I
one
mean, if
loser
high
as
on the
well.
Panthers is 5 wins, then that's...
Yeah.
I'm with you.
And I'll give you a loser. I think Tampa Bay. What are they doing in the first round drafting?
Yes, that's
a
exactly
wide
what I
receiver?
said.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I said.
Far out, mate.
100% agree.
Well, yes, no. I don't know. I don't entirely agree with that.
Well, you just want to see Baker throw for 3,000 yards and be.
He wants to see Mike Evans get those 1,000
Mike
yards.
Evans will get... It's written in his contract, mate. It's like in blood now. He might have 2 years left in the league, and I will guarantee Mike's only deal would have been, I want 1,000 every year, and the streak has to continue until I retire. You get 10 years in, and that's still happening, as if your number one detail in a contract is not, I need 1,000 yards every season. You'd be going, it has to happen now. It has to happen. I don't know. Man, I don't know. You're talking like Evans, Godwin, Egbuka, Bucky Irving,
McMillan.
Kate Otten,
Why did they
McMillan,
need to take a
Rashad
wide
White.
receiver?
Like that's a hell of an offense.
Oh, it's an
It
amazing.
is. It is. But there were defensive needs,
Bigger needs. Yeah,
bigger needs than the wide receiver.
But also for Ohio State, because he came out of Ohio State, their number one target, like for Will Howard, was by far and away Smith, receiver, who's going to be big time draft pick in a couple years' time. So is he going to be able to be a player that takes over the number one? I don't sort of know. He wasn't used that way for Ohio State. That's the only thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess. I'm just not entirely with you. I like it. That's all.
And it's not like it was a shallow wide receiver draft. Like there were good wide receivers in the second and third round.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I'm not. Yeah, I don't totally disagree. Who was the? Didn't they get another D lineman? A massive dude. What is it?
Tampa
Oh,
Bay,
they
yeah.
signed him undrafted free agent, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was like some 400-pound dude.
Yeah,
Out
big
of
fella.
Florida.
The fridge or something, isn't it? What they call
Yeah,
him?
I was joking about it earlier, and I can't find him now.
Him and Vita Vea up front, man. If they play the Eagles this year,
Yeah.
mate,
They're saying like
no chance of the tush push. Forget it.
It's literally like over 750 pounds. I don't know what that is in kilos, but it's a just you would not want to fall underneath that.
That's what, kilos? 350? 300?
Yeah, but maybe 300 or something.
That's insane.
Yeah, can you imagine being that big?
Desmond Watson. That's the guy, isn't it?
I
I
don't
think
know.
so.
That's him.
That's what it was. Desmond
The
Watson.
big
Hang on,
unit.
I'm just doing a quick Google of it. Oh, they didn't even call him the unit. They called him something else as a nickname, and I was like, that can't be the dude's nickname. It's not possible. 210 kilos, 464 pounds. This guy is
One guy, 210 kilos. Jeez.
one guy, Brad, and he's what's that? 1.98. That's like 6'4".
Yep.
6'4",
Yeah.
464.
6'5", I reckon. Yeah.
This guy. This guy. That's what I said. It said if people call Vita Vea, I've called Vita Vea a literal fridge, and this guy is the cool room. That's the joke I
That's
was
a
like,
fucking boulder, mate.
he's
I want to know
man.
what he ran the 40 in.
I can't imagine having to block that guy.
Hang on, I'll find it out for you if you want, Brad. Let's just Google his stats.
Mate, if I had to block that guy, I'll tell you right now, it's a cut block every time.
Yeah.
And as soon as I hit the deck, I'm rolling cycle. Cut block and move out the way, otherwise you're gonna be a fucking pancake.
Get down. 592, Brad.
5.9. Wow, that's low.
He's 464 pounds, Brad. How is that?
That's moving.
It's
That is
moving.
moving.
That's five. He's
that's
doing a
freight
40.
train.
He's doing a 40 in 6 seconds. That's 210 kilos coming at you in 6 seconds.
That's
And
insane.
let's be honest. People, I laugh when they make these D linemen do the 40. And it's just like, what are we doing? It's a spectacle. It really is an absolute
Yeah.
spectacle. Because why are we doing it? The guys don't, Nick, they don't move, what, more than 5 yards at very most? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Most of their stuff is usually the bench, isn't it?
Yeah, usually you bench. So at
What-
least
it's like
maybe,
also
maybe
they-
for a
they-
DN,
They
maybe
made him
for a
do.
DN,
They make him do
40
the
is plausible.
Yeah, they make him do the vertical as well, which is hilarious.
Probably yeah. I'd say the bench and probably the 20 yard cone drill where they just go 5, 10, 5. But that's more so for your edge rushes.
What do they bench press? What's the weight they bench press?
225 pounds. And then they see how many reps they can do.
36
Yeah.
reps he did.
Oh, Jesus.
Okay.
So 225 is what, 100 kilo?
Yeah, roughly.
100 kilo?
Yeah.
36 reps.
36 reps.
100,
And they
yeah,
pump
102
him, man.
kilo.
Bang,
Yeah,
bang,
36 reps.
Wow.
He's in the top. He's in the. Basically, he's in the 94th percentile for that. He's
Yeah.
the top of that tree.
I'd be curious to know like how long his arms are.
And Brad, he is 22 years old.
That dude is just a walking heart attack. Holy. Oh.
Can you imagine the endorsements? Mate.
Yeah, what? For
In
a
the States as well.
refrigerator? What?
Chick-fil-A, Burger King, Macca's, Taco Bell. Clean up.
Americans would eat him up. Well, this, yeah.
Well, he'd eat him up.
Yeah, right.
I shouldn't pick on the guy. I love it's just him. He's probably an
He's going to be a
amazing.
bowler now.
He's probably
He's
an
gonna be a
amazing dude, and yeah, well, he will be in that defense. It's Tampa Bay defense, man. He's just going to be ridiculous. Loser. I'll give you one loser. Jameis Winston.
Yeah.
Jameis Winston,
yeah.
massive loser. They've already said that Russell Wilson's going to start. They confirmed that on draft night. What? Fuck me,
they?
the Giants. They do 2 steps forward, 1 step back for the Giants. They've already said that Russell Wilson's going to start, which basically means Russell Wilson's going to start. Jameis will be in for 2 games, and then everyone will be screaming for Jackson Dart. So, but also I think because Jameis was brought in, like he was signed for like $4 million on the premise that he was going to compete with Russell Wilson, and he would have been realistic. Probably can't really beat out Russell Wilson, but there's a premise that he was going to compete with Russell Wilson, and then they draft a guy who is NFL ready. So it's like you're going, oh yeah, and he's the guy on the outer because they've got Tommy Cutlets as well, so they're not going to get rid of Tommy Cutlets. So I would expect that Jameis Winston might end up being a 53-man cut at some point. So he'll get $4 million out of it because his contract's guaranteed. But like, poor Jameis. A win. How about a final win? 600,000 people over 3 days of the draft.
Love that.
Absolutely massive.
Crazy.
Absolutely massive. Did we see the Green Bay Packers first round pick? Nick, you would have seen
Yes.
the reaction.
Yes.
Brad, I don't know whether you watched it all. But let's just
I think so. I think I saw it.
I want to play this again because I absolutely love it. Just the crowd pop for this.
For the first time since 2002, draft a wide receiver. Listen to this crowd. Oh, baby. Matthew Golden, wide receiver of Texas.
That is awesome.
Great pick as well.
That is awesome.
The crowd pop for that was just ridiculous.
Yeah. Well,
Aaron Rodgers is holding his fist to the air. You
That's right.
bastards.
Yeah. Where was this?
It was unreal, and like, yeah.
You think that crowd pop is amazing? Wait till next year when Pittsburgh makes their pick. That's going to be a pop.
When they can't score any points, so they'll have the number 1 pick and select Arch Manning.
Yeah. Maybe they're the smart guys and we're the idiots. They're playing the long game.
I don't know. How much does it cost us to get to Pittsburgh? We should go for a draft. We'll never get to see games. Let's go for a draft.
I can think of about 40 other places I'd rather go.
Oh, Brad, come on. For the NFL draft. We'll go. We'll do on the ground. We'll do a whole heap of interviews.
That would be fun.
Which city would be best to go to for a draft, Brad?
Well,
that's a great question.
That's hands down Vegas. But if you took out Vegas, then I would say just for pure entertainment value and putting on a show, probably L.A.
So you've got to move all the homeless again.
No, that's San Fran.
It's still as if it's not L.A. Don't start. Do they even have a car park in L.A.?
I don't know. But
Nah, you just park on the freeway, mate. It takes that long. They spend more in their cars than their houses.
Yeah,
you're always in your car.
SoFi area would be the stadium and all around that. That would be amazing. So, yeah.
Flights to Pittsburgh, one way, 1,700.
One way.
All right. If you want to sponsor this podcast, get in touch.
We will sign autographs.
We will. Yeah. We need some money for next year, so we can all. Brad can take us back to his homeland.
Yeah, we'll do a podcast from your living room. I could even get us some guns when we get there. So
Yeah. Oh man, it's as if we're not. If we go, we go to America, and Brad, we are just going to be degenerates for a week. I swear to God.
We're just going to eat fast food and shoot things. That's all.
We just missed the Wisconsin one, man. That was the perfect time.
Yeah.
So what are we going to wait for Minnesota to have a draft, then we can go shoot someone?
Yeah. Oh gosh. Yeah.
Honey.
Yep.
Amazing. Well, we're never going to get picked as the top fans and get flown there ourselves. So we need to be able to get there. Like, I don't know. Get G'day Gridiron to the NFL draft.
Yeah.
We need to start. We'll start a movement.
Yes, I like that. That's a good idea.
I'm going to hashtag it all year. Righto. Anything else, boys, you want to bring up about the draft before I hit our mock draft results?
No, I think next year is going to be a more interesting draft. Every draft is interesting, but I think in terms of drafts go, this one doesn't hold a candle to last year, obviously. But it's the draft, so we'll sit there, and I sat on my ass for 10 hours or whatever it was, just watching the thing. So yeah, it's crazy.
I was just going to say, after the mock draft results, are we talking about anything else?
No, mate, bring it up now. Whatever you want. What do you want to talk about?
Yeah, here
Cool.
we go.
So I want to bring this up from earlier on. I'm standing on an island with Shadeur Sanders.
Oh,
Standing on an absolute island. I love this now.
It's a
And
small
you know what?
island.
It's a small island, but I'm on it. Cause
I'm with you. I'm coming.
Oh,
you're coming.
Jesus
Yeah,
Christ.
I want him to do well.
Okay. No, fair enough. Fair
No,
enough.
2v2 here on the podcast, so we're gonna. There's got to be some kind of water bet then.
All right. Look,
So before
Let's
the
not
season,
talk about water bets.
Nick's still got to pay up on a
hang
water
on.
bet.
Sorry, I got to pay up.
Let's before the season starts, then we have to have a water bet based around Shadeur Sanders. You in on that,
What's
Brad?
it going to be?
well, yeah, but I just don't know. That's fine. I just don't know what it would be.
Well, that's why I'm giving us leeway to come up with something before the start of the season. It'll put
That he
it
makes
out
the
there.
cut.
Can I float one? Can I float one?
Yeah,
Sanders will be the starter next year.
next year. Oh, we're playing the long game.
Yeah, we'll be the starter.
It's the
For the
Cleveland Browns. I don't trust them.
So you're talking about 2026?
No, it's in the season coming up.
Yeah.
This season.
The 2025.
Yeah.
This upcoming
Yep.
season.
The
you're
starter
Yep.
at what point?
Okay, let's say for most games.
It can't be week
most
1
games,
because that's going to be Joe Flacco. We all know it's going to be
I
Flacco.
take that back.
So for most he will start more games than anyone else for the Browns next year.
I would take that back.
I'll
Yep.
take that.
I'm with you, Nick. I reckon he will too.
Okay, so that's the water
Right.
bet. That
I like
Shadeur
it.
Sanders will start more games than any other Cleveland quarterback currently on their roster.
I reckon.
I'll
I
give you
reckon
that,
he beats
okay?
out Gabriel.
Okay.
Just in case they go and sign Aaron Rodgers for something dumb, because it's been total Cleveland Brown to add a 6th quarterback to the roster.
Kirk Cousins.
The only way, to me, the only way that this doesn't happen is if Watson magically becomes his Houston self, which isn't going to happen.
But he's out
think
for the
it's
whole
not gonna
season,
do it.
isn't he?
Yep.
Well,
Watson's out for the whole season. The whole season,
Yeah.
yeah.
Torn
already said
Achilles,
he's out
isn't
for
it?
the
I
whole
thought it was only
season.
halfway through.
Yeah, I think he's. At least
I think it's
3/4.
yeah,
be
3/4
bad
of the
then.
season. It's about 3/4 of
Okay.
the season.
So that's gone.
And he
He-
doesn't,
he- that's
and
his-
we all know from past experience, he doesn't rehab in the best way possible. So
What do you mean? He's
The
diligent
reason-
about getting his massages.
The reason why I was bringing up Shadeur in the first place, though, not just because of trying to say that he was, I do believe he's going to be the starter for the Browns, but more so because, bit to what you were saying before, Brad, where you think because he's been put on such a pedestal and he thinks, he's so much better and everything. The comparisons I've heard since the draft have been Johnny Manziel. Now, I think the difference is Johnny Manziel had everything in college. Everything. He was definitely the number 1 prospect and everything. And I remember him saying, I know this is probably not the best time to bring it up, on Shannon Sharp's podcast about him just going out, and he said, look, I felt like if I partied, I'd play better. Which in college for Texas A&M was definitely plausible. And he came to the NFL, he was a number 1 pick, everything was handed to him, and then it sort of went sideways, right? And I can see the thinking because of the confidence and everything. I think him being dropped so far in this draft, I think actually can kick in to another gear and actually have a chip on his shoulder where he can go, right, okay, so I wasn't handed all this stuff. It wasn't like when my dad got drafted, who literally went up to the Giants and said, don't bother interviewing me. I'm going to be taken by the top 4 teams well before then. And the Falcons did that. He has got the opportunity now, chip on his shoulder. He's expected to not even be maybe the backup quarterback, maybe even the 3rd choice at best. He's got the opportunity now to actually prove his talent. And I think talent-wise, purely talent-wise, he's the most talented guy on this roster. Like, I think he's more talented than Gabriel. Sorry to say, Brad. I know he's a duck. But also, Flacco, how many games is he going to hold up, and Kenny Pickett? So I think now it's a perfect opportunity. He's got the chip on his shoulder. He's got nothing to sort of brag about. He's been humbled in a way where no one sort of wanted him, multiple times. So now he's going to have the opportunity to have the chip on the shoulder. An organization that's been on its knees for pretty much its existence, to now be able to come out like he did in college and upgrade, that ball team. So I think there's a big chance that he could do well. Said my piece.
No. I mean, you present a compelling argument, and like I said, I would never wish ill will on the guy. I just think the circus that goes along with them, to me, is not worth it. So yeah.
But I think with the humbling, he needs to cut that. He needs to cut that tie with Dion and just say, go back to Colorado. Don't have anything to do with me in the NFL level.
I think that's another thing. Like I don't see Dion flipping. How hard it would be to flip between Colorado and then he's over in Cleveland. Gonna watch what's going on here, be in these meetings. It's not going to happen, right?
Yeah.
And he's honestly going to take care of his own backyard first. Like, he's developed this program as a coach, and he's developed Travis Hunter into a similar player that he was coming out of college. And, he's got, obviously, his 2 sons now on an NFL roster. So now his thing's going to be, I'll take Colorado to a top 25 team. Can we go even further? Can we get to that top 12, be a playoff team? So he's got bigger things to worry about.
Yep. No, I agree there. He really needs to find a proper manager. But, yeah, I don't know. I get what you're saying, Nick. But he also, there's a lot of stat padding that happened at Colorado because they tailored everything around him and made it look like. But at the same time, they had a horrible O-line and all kinds of stuff. Like, Yeah, I'm just not. I know what you're saying. I just don't agree with it. I think he will be on the roster. I absolutely believe that Dylan Gabriel is their choice for a backup, no matter what. And he is different to Shadeur Sanders. Again, my thing at the top about picking a backup quarterback that is different to your starting quarterback. So he's different in that way. He plays differently. So I think Dylan Gabriel will still be there. I think Kenny Pickett's on the out. I think he's a cut. And they can't cut. Well, Watson's on IR, so that he's on IR. So they've got 4 quarterbacks. They've got to cut one of them. It's going to be Kenny Pickett. So it'll be Joe Flacco starting, and then Joe Flacco, I agree with you, he'll be mentoring the kids. So it's just Joe Flacco's daycare, basically. Righto. Mock draft results from the Draft-Palooza episode. So, if anyone didn't know, we score our mock drafts. 1 point for a correct team, 1 point for correct player, 1 point for correct position. Bonus point if you correctly pick the team trading into that pick. That's all I could do, actually, because I couldn't work out how to get the other bonus point in the system. So, we ended up with the trades. The number for the official draft is the total points available is 101 points. So out of 101 points. So that's 3 points per pick plus the extra for the teams trading in. I have to ask is, like, I included Manjot's in this because Manjot, he's part of us. He's part of AGN. And he does an amazing amount of work. Manjot chucked his mock draft up at the last minute. I got to include Manjot. He spent a lot of time on stream, don't I?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, all right. I needed to make sure. Because...
unless he wins. Then you can,
exactly.
Because Manjot wins.
Come on.
Manjot's taken it out with 53 points.
Wow.
Out of 101.
Nice.
Wow.
The G'day Gridiron mock came in second with 51 points. So combined, we're better. The sum of our parts is better than
Better
us
as a team.
individually. Right? Team on me, team on 3. And then out of that, the next person to come in there is... Oh, I got these wrong. Isn't it? It's me. Sorry, I got it wrong earlier. 48 points I ended up with.
Recount.
But we're all very close, boys. I'm on 48. Nick is on 47. Brad and Isaac are on 45.
Okay.
Not too
All
bad.
right.
Not too bad.
Yeah, so we're all close.
We're all close. Overall, and I only did it off the G'day Gridiron mock, out of the 32 players picked, we picked 22 players to go in the first of those players that went in the first round in our G'day Gridiron mock. I reckon that's probably the best thing. So we can pick which players will go in the first round, just not necessarily where they'll go.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, that's hard.
Ah, yes. Yeah, very, Brad. Very. And that's not even me being weirdly sexual. It's hard to pick. It turns out that's how hard it is to pick. But there we go. Manjot beats us all. Manjot wins.
Congratulations to Manjot.
I know he'll be pretty happy with that. We're just having a quick scroll down. We got most of the positions right too, by the way. I hadn't checked on that, but most of the positions are right as well. So go us. We can also pick where the position should be.
Yeah.
Or the position of need for that team, I guess is probably the best way to say that. But there we go. Manjot in first. G'day Gridiron as a whole, as a podcast in second. And then I got third. I got the bronze in that. But, you know, we're as a team, we succeeded. It's about 50%. I'm trying to rationalise it. We all got about 50%. 48%. Pretty good.
I like it.
You're all so quiet on this, you dickheads.
No,
Talk about, I said team on me.
Let's not go there.
yeah. It's just one of those things. It's when you're when you're right, only 50% of the time is that really a good thing? But in this
Oh,
case,
that's a
I
bit
think it
harsh,
is.
Brad.
Had to get to 60%. When you're 60% right, you're 100% right.
It's a passing
Worse.
grade, isn't it? You're the math teacher. Is that a passing
100%
grade?
of the time, 60% of the
Oh,
time.
don't even get me started. I have debates about this. And should 60% be passing? In my opinion, hell no.
Wow.
You didn't even get a C unless you got 70% when I was growing up. But whatever.
Jeez.
What do I know?
I don't want Brad to be my teacher. Jeez. That's harsh. Yeah, I wouldn't have passed.
Eliminated.
That's what it's like in Brad's class.
That's right.
Under 60%, gone.
Put up or shut up.
Failed
Yeah.
math.
All right. All fun and games, boys. Good episode. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. You can find everything to do with the Aussie Gridiron Network at our linktree/Aussie Gridiron Network. You will find links to all of our socials, the Aussie NFL Fantasy Show socials, Manjot's socials for Pastry Press NFL, and of course, YouTube, all the YouTube stuff for Pastry Press as well, which is Pastry Press NFL on YouTube. You will also find a link to our merchandise store where you can get Brad's very special Titty Max shirt for his number one player in the draft. Go there, check out some awesome shirts, and help this podcast get to the 2026 Pittsburgh NFL draft. Let's go. G'day Gridiron to the NFL draft. Let's go. All right. So on behalf of myself, Brad, Nick, and Isaac, thank you very much for joining us, and we will see you later.